My dad always told me in life there are sheep and there are shepherd. Now, everybody is a leader in some respect, whether it's for your friends, whether it's for your family, whether it's in business, you are all leaders. So make sure to pay attention, take notes, because everything that we cover in this video could not only change your life, but could also change the lives of the people around you. If you want to be a good leader, genuinely for me, I think the first thing that everybody should do is think about leaders that they've had and people that have led them in their lives and how they've done it or who they respect as leaders, and start to learn from people that have already led them in a positive way. So with that, who's led you in your life so far to become successful, or led you in a positive way in your life?
The first one that instantly springs to mind, parents, dad, when it comes to the side of business and how he's learned and how that's then impacted us. Now, he does both. There's very much a carrot and stick. And I think you need both to be a good leader. Leaders that find themselves at the top of the tree, I think, know the person they're trying to teach and know the percentage of the carrot and the stick that they need to use, rather than kind of doing a bit of carrot here, a bit of stick, bit of carrot, bit of stick. I think some people need, a different percentage to the person they're training. Like for me, for example, the stick does work quite well because it gets me moving, it gets me motivated, and I work quite well as the stick, but I do also want a bit of carrot as well. I know you're very different to me, where you just want all stick. But I think Dad with us has worked very well in training us and being someone I'd look up to and want to be that leader that he then is himself, and it's worked really well. But I know, like I say, you don't like much carrot.
You're doubling down on the metaphor. I love it. Yeah, I'm the type of person that, again, my role models and the people that have led me in life are obviously somewhat similar to you, because obviously we've both had our dad who's helped us massively. Now, I think what everybody should do is, once you know who that person is that's made a big difference in your life, reach out to them and say thank you for the impact that they've had on your lives. And we don't do that enough. We don't give back. And if you want to be a good leader, one of the first things and the most important things, it's about wanting the best for people and being truly caring towards what they want in life, their goals, their needs, and doing everything that you can to help them get there. One of the biggest secrets of success that nobody ever talks about is you can't do it alone. And so, because you need people, the more that you can do to give and give and give, the more you will get back in return. It's almost like this law of attraction, where nobody wants to be around somebody that's selfish, tight-pocketed, never gives back, only looks out for themselves. Because I've talked about it in previous episodes. If I was to go into a town centre and say, I'm Tyler Barker, can everybody give us a tenner? Who's going to bother? Who are you? Why should I help you? You're just selfish. Whereas if I said, I'm here, and they've done experiments where it's like, I'm giving away free money, people all of a sudden, everybody wants to take. And if, again, sort of using the same example, if I was to say, use that £10 and I was to tell people that I'm Tyler Barker, can you give us a tenner? But what I'm going to be doing with this money is helping the homeless, helping a charity, helping create opportunity for people. All of a sudden, people now want to help and get involved, because I'm not doing it for a selfish reason. And the best leaders care deeply about the people that are within their team and those around them, because they want to try their hardest to help them fulfill their goals and fulfill their dreams first. And it is almost this, I don't want to say it's narcissism, but it is almost that the best leaders understand that for them to win, they have to have everybody else around them win as well. So they end up becoming overly selfless, and it can sometimes look a bit sort of narcissistic that they're only doing it to sort of boost themselves through boosting others. But I suppose in a way it doesn't really matter, because if everybody's winning, really that's the best result for us all, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, a weird one as well when it comes to leaders / coaches, because I think there's a very similar role there, is maybe you remember his name, but when we were learning to play tennis, I think his name was David, and he was the one that taught, I'm sure it was both of us, how to start playing tennis.
I remember Steve.
Maybe it was Steve. This is like about over 10 years ago. So to remember remember the name would be very good. But
probably about 20 years ago.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it was even, Jesus, I'm 31 now. But I remember him every time I'd take a shot, whether it was a serve or learning how to do a forehand shot or a backhand shot. It's all gone a bit awry now because it's been so long since I've played. But he was refining and going, oh, go on there, you're doing really well with that one. Oh, you're not so well on that one. And it's creating such an environment where he's training us how to become great tennis players. Great, obviously, maybe didn't end up making Wimbledon in the end, but he was, I think, taking that same mindset into the leadership role to then spread that for the team is where you become a great leader, because then they're happier in themselves, in that they're seeing they're able to complete the tasks that have been set and feel like they're doing it off their own merit.
Well, the thing for us, one of the biggest things, again, with leadership, the number one thing is about influence and inspiration. The best leaders can influence and inspire. And if you haven't got that ability, you need to go and learn it. And the best way to start is by asking your team, your people, those around you, what do they want? Because everybody is so caught up in this modern day mindset and modern day attitude of, well, what I want, me, I want this, I want that, I want to go on holiday 3 times a year, I want to have a nice car, I want to have a nice house, I want to be financially free, I want this. And you end up sounding like that Veruca Salt from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Daddy, I want this. Daddy, I want that. You just sound like an entitled arsehole, because the reality is true success and true leadership is about, again, inspiring and influencing those around you. And genuinely, you get so much more out of life from giving back to people, and you feel so much better in yourself by helping those around you. And one of the best people that I've ever had as a leader really was in sports. I remember starting jiu-jitsu at a small community centre in the middle of Sutton Coldfield. A lad named Tom Bracher, my age. In fact, I'm going to try and ask him to get him on the podcast so we can talk about what he's done and how he's influenced and inspired others. And he started with a small team of about 10 of us, 15 of us inside a community centre. And his business now, he's got 3 locations. He's founded Atos Jiu-Jitsu in the UK. But I remember so distinctly that he would speak to each of us and he'd ask, what are your motivations for starting jiu-jitsu? What are you trying to get out of it? And then his goal was to help each of us become the best jiu-jitsu practitioners that he could make us, using our goals to help us get there. And if we were falling short, so for me, I was competitive. He asked me, he goes, do you want to compete in jiu-jitsu? And absolutely, it was something that I wanted to do. So if I turned up to a class and I wasn't putting the effort in, he would use that then, like you say, carrot and stick. He'd say, if you perform like that in competition, you are going to lose every single time. You're not putting enough work in. You're not trying hard enough. You're failing and slacking in class. You're not turning up to sessions. If you think that's good enough to perform and win medals at competition, you're kidding yourself. And that was what I needed to influence me and to inspire me to then think, shit, I need to step it up a level. But if I just had a coach or leader that didn't care, he was just there to collect a paycheck, he was just there to collect his membership fee, he was there to teach a class, didn't give a shit about the students that were there, and just, by all accounts, took his money each month and just went home and forgot about it. It's not what he did. Now, to give you an example, He's now driving a Lamborghini Urus. His car's worth about £250,000. He's got a lovely family, lovely house, does really well for himself. And it all stems from his ability to be a good leader, because his business was directly impacted through that additional, and we'll go through his journey if we can get him on. But again, it just shows that you can start from a small community centre with a mindset of teamwork, mindset of leadership, of influencing and inspiring. And all of a sudden, it doesn't take too long before you're driving around in a 6-figure vehicle with a really nice house, family, and everything that most people that are watching dream of, you know?
I mean, the thing is, and I never went there and I never did the jiu-jitsu side, but I remember you used to come back and say the things that he used to do. And this is the key thing that I think he's got, is that he led by example. He created, or he himself was extremely good at jiu-jitsu, and he's even taught, UFC fighters. One of them became a gold medalist. The name escapes me. You'll know it is.
Leon Edwards.
That's the one. There you go. I knew it was.
He was the welterweight
Sorry,
UFC
that's the one.
champion.
You can tell I watch UFC. But he's led by complete example. He is himself an extremely well-known jiu-jitsu competitor. And he was, I would assume, from all the things that you've told me about, he's the first in, last one out. He's dedicated himself to the sport, but then dedicated himself to each individual member of the team or member of people that are learning. And it's a key element of why he was successful, because he led by example. People would probably looked up to him and be like, oh, I want to be like him. I'm sure, again, he was doing drills, and he himself was in the drills when he was teaching people. He wasn't just getting someone else that worked there and go, oh yeah, you just show them that drill, you do that one. My leg hurts because I was doing a competition the other week. He was doing, I would again assume from the things that you've always said, he's
in the trenches,
doing it.
And that's the thing. There are two types of leader. The reality is, well, there's so many different types of leaders. And this is, again, start the episode, that they're either sheep or they're a shepherd. But you can learn to become a shepherd, and you can learn through experience. You can learn from being around the right people, but you have to learn who you are as a person. So I think one of the best things that you can do is perform like a DISC review, a DISC analysis as to who you are. And if you've not done one, I'm sure you can just do them free online. And it's one of those real self-reflective things to do, because you start to understand what your personality type is, and then you can lean on those things to understand how you can best be a leader. And for us, we lead a team. We both run a company. And we run a team of 15 people, and you lead in a very different way than I do. I am very much lead from the front, set the example, and be the most hardworking, know the most, and set that standard from there by being somebody that is inspiring through my own hard work. Now, from the weekend that we've just had, I need to, with Andy Elliott, and again with his team, we've just done an episode on that, where I need to do more to understand what those around me want and what motivates them, and then push and lean on that. But you're a very selfless person, and with how you lead and how you motivate is very much through being selfless and shining the spotlight on them, taking your ego and your wants and your needs out of the equation and helping people along. So when we've got two of us in a business with different leadership styles, it definitely helps. And you'll find even that we find some people in our team lean towards you and the way you lead, and then some people lean towards me and the way I lead. And one of the best things you can do as a leader is understanding what your people, what your team, who you're leading, what their goals are, who they are as people, whether they want carrot and stick or a bit of stick, whatever it is. Understand what they want and who they are. And too few people nowadays, they don't even care enough to ask. When was the last time anybody in work or in life ever asked you what you wanted out of life and how they can get the most out of you, and actually care enough to understand who you are as a person, so that you can actually work as a team to get the best out of each other. How rare is that nowadays? Because everyone's so selfish. So if you're a leader watching this and you don't know what motivates your team on an individual level, and you're not speaking to them every single day and at least every single week and chasing up with them, holding them to account, you need to have a real good look in the mirror and question even whether you can call yourself a leader. Because leadership isn't about titles. Leadership isn't about having the most shares in a company or wearing the captain's armband on a pitch. It's nothing to do with that. The best leaders are the one, as I said at the start, that are inspiring and influencing those around them in the best way possible, and not just some fancy title.
But you've got either leaders and then you've got like your boss, I suppose. And there's the two different camps where you've got a lot of business owners that more lean on, you need to do this and you need to do that, and have you finished that and have you finished this. And there needs to be an element of that because, the work's got to get done. But our coach is great that he kind of asks questions to probe us, to get the answers from us rather than just giving us the answer. And I think if you're like that with your team, it gets them to think about it rather than just giving an answer. It's almost like, you wouldn't teach a child how to ride a bicycle by getting on a bike yourself and go, look, this is how you do it. You put the stabilizers on, you put them on the bike, you throw them in the deep end and say, right, here you go, let's just try a bit now with the stabilizer on, then maybe take one of them off and then take the stabilizers off, and then they're riding the bike themselves. Now that's the best way of coaching. And anyone who's got kids, I haven't, but anyone who's got kids who likes to see themselves as a good parent always would parent on that sort of side. I would have said, you don't teaching them how to eat food and how to walk and how to do this, you're getting them to do these things first. And I suppose there's always a bit of they're watching you do it first, but you're teaching them by getting them to do it themselves.
One of the things that I've learned from being a parent is acting on emotion, and kids are so are adults, so is everyone. People are so reactive to emotion, and your emotion sets the precedent. So with kids, and having a young girl myself, she's 18 months old, and it's still so impressionable. And you see all the time, if she falls and bumps her head, which is all the time because she's a toddler and she's running around like a little suicide machine, that if she has a little bump, some of them are warranted. They're, really, it scares the life out of me, and she'll cry. But sometimes if I go running over and almost make a joke and a play out of it and don't act on emotion, even though it's broken my heart to see her even sort of scrape her finger or do something, if I start really babying it and sort of saying, oh my God, it's the worst thing ever, and she can see that I'm scared for her, she will instinctively copy and embrace my emotion and then feed back into herself, and she'll start crying for hours and she'll be scared. Whereas if I'm showing not no emotion, but knowing that the emotions that I'm sharing and putting out into the world are what's being picked up by others, the best leaders can remain stoic. They can remain in control of their emotions, even when times are tough, through the toughest times. And that's exactly when you need it. This ability to be able to control your emotions, money troubles, everybody's stressed, and you're there stressing everybody else out even more, or your team's losing and you're the captain and you're there crying,
freaking out
in a corner, freaking out. Oh my God, we're going to lose. We're in the final. What can we do? I don't know what's it. You're a terrible leader. You need to understand that you need to be in control of your emotions at all time. And even when times are tough, you need to be the one that's leading the team, leading from the front, rallying them, setting the standards, setting the emotion, and not letting it overwhelm you as a person. Because if you want to, again, I go back to inspire and influence, you are doing it at all times. It's not a part-time job. You are always constantly inspiring and influencing, whether in a good way or a bad way. And people are picking up on your energy. And if your energy says that you're somebody that cowers when times are tough, or you bury your head in the sand when there's a problem, or you're on the back foot and you start to retreat and run away, no one is ever going to follow you, and no one is ever going to want to listen to what you want to say. You need to be stoic.
And it's leading from the front and shielding the team from distress. I mean, again, Andy Elliott said it where we've just come back from Arizona. You know, my team will never see me get, you know, emotional to a level where it's kind of uncontrollable. And he's not doing that in a way where he's trying to make people think he's like invincible or anything. He's just trying to shield people to just create utter, complete confidence and trust within their leader, knowing that if something's going to happen, he's got my back, like he's got me, and then it creates the trust, and then it creates that environment of he's the guy I want to follow, like I want to be like him or I want to be like her, because they're setting that sort of standard that, you know, they're protector. It's like the father or the mother of a household, you know, they're the one that it's like, oh, it's all right, you know, with us, or dad will be okay, you know, he'll sort us out with that. You know, when he was going through a lot of stress with, like, you know, financial troubles because of the business, it was all really shit hitting the fan. But when he came home, it was about remaining calm, not showing mum, not showing us that he was kind of freaking out on the inside and holding it together. And I think that's, people respect it, especially when they can kind of see what's going on and go, bloody hell, he's going through, oh, he seems fine to me, oh, what's going on? And they're like, so if things start to happen, you know, you've got that person you can go to.
And it's one of the toughest things about being a good leader, because the reality is you are sacrificing your own struggles, or you're offsetting your own struggles, and you're having to deal with them on your own. Now, that doesn't mean always that, you know, because a problem shared is a problem halved. It doesn't mean that you can never go to other people, because a good leader will then seek out counsel from those around him who he knows he can rely on and lean on for help and support, because it's not a one-man army. You know, it is about being part of a team. But it's something that, again, unfortunately, if you are a leader, which, as I said, we are all leaders, whether you're leaders to your children, leaders to those around you, to your friends, to your family, you're all leaders. And if you aren't a leader, you can be, because we all know in life there are people, especially nowadays, that need to be called out on their shit. And there are so many people, whether they're selfish, they're tight with money, they're cheating on their partners, or they're bad husbands, wives, or they're going out doing whatever. You can be a leader to those people, and you can start by looking at people that are around you that you're close with and calling them out on their shit. Now, I think that's one of the most important things that a good leader can do, and somebody that they definitely do need to do, especially in a team if they're leading at work, is being able to hold people to a set of standards. And if they're not ticking them, you need to be able to approach them and say, you're cutting short here. You're not hitting the grade. You're not doing what you said that you would do from day one, and you're slipping up and the standards are falling. And I'm here to tell you that you need to start fixing up a little bit. But everyone's too scared of having this confrontation with people, because there are certainly in this country as well, it pisses me off, because there's all of these legislations and laws around working equality, and you can't say this to someone, you can't hurt their feelings, or you can't be mean, that's not very nice, you said a mean word and I'm going to sue you. And it's like, how on earth now can we get into this mindset where, because we're not allowed to call people out on their shit? Now, it's very different to bullying people. It's very different. But being able to have the ability to look at people that you're working with, whether they're a part of your team, whether they're your leader, and you can lead the leader and say, you're not doing what you told me you would do. You're not hitting the grade. You're not meeting the standards that you've set out, and you're falling short. You promised you'd work out this amount of times a week if you're a PT. You promised you'd hit these grades. You promised you'd hit these targets for the school, for the sales, whatever it is. You have made that promise, and you're falling short. And I'm here as a leader to tell you that it's not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, one of the clearest examples I can give as well, and I hear stories about it all the time from teachers now, but in schools, teachers have been, or they've had the ability to have those conversations completely taken away. And now kids rule the classrooms completely. There's no, you're not doing that right, you're not allowed to do that, and you're not putting the work in, you're not putting the effort in, and there's obviously going to be still that side of it. But any time that it gets to a level where you have to raise your voice as a teacher, which is warranted to teach people or train anyone at anything, you have to be able to stamp your authority at some point and kind of say, yeah, like you're saying, you're not cutting the grade. But because you can't do that anymore, kids' grades are falling. The average, pass rates and things, they're all going down. And it's all because teachers can't teach properly. They've got no stick. They've just got a carrot. Going back to that. And it's a shame, because then people leave school, and it's even getting a little bit like that as well in the work environment, but it's still not quite as bad as school. So then when people leave school and they get the first job and they get told what they've got to be doing, and they're like, well, I don't want to do that. Oh, well, I'm just going to rock into work 10 minutes late, because that's what they're used to at school. And it's a shock that when they join the workforce and it's about earning money, and if you're not cutting the grade, you're off, especially within a certain, couple of years. It's what's going on, but it's just not being able to be a leader in those cases sometimes.
It centres around discipline. It's all about discipline, and it's something that we have lost as a society. Everyone is just so wrapped in cotton wool and mummy coddled, and you're not allowed to say this, you're not allowed to say that. It's left us as a bunch of softies, and unfortunately, where that leaves people is they don't take criticism well, or if somebody calls them out on their shit, rather than going, I had no idea, John, I'm going to work on that. Thanks for telling me. Thank you for calling me out on it so I can become better as a person. Instead they go, I don't like you, you're mean, you're a bully, how dare you say that to me? Who are you to tell me that? Who are you? And they just go on the defensive because they haven't got the capacity in their own brain to take constructive criticism. So they just complain or moan, I'm perfect. Well, it can't be me. You must have a problem. Why do you have a problem with me? I'm perfect, I am. Rather than being able to look at themselves in the mirror and say, I need to improve there. And whether it's a friend, even just for example on something trivial where your mate can be a bit of a tight arse, and you tell them, you say, look, I always go out with you and I'm always I'm the first one buying drinks. I'm always the one buying the Ubers. I'm always the one buying the tickets. I'm always the one sorting this out. Why do you never do it? And it's like, well, because you always do it first. It's not my fault. You're always the first to put your pocket. You just never give me the opportunity to. And it's rather than accepting a level of fault and going, bloody hell, mate, I had no idea. Do you know what? I'll do better. And
I'll book the next trip.
I'll get the next round in. And then actually doing it and following up on it. And you've now changed someone for the better, because now nobody else thinks they're a tight arse, which is one of the worst things I think you can be in life, is everybody thinks you're bloody short arms,
rat. That's what I've got.
Short arms, long pockets kind of thing. It's not, it's a terrible, terrible thing for people to think of me. And I'm being a good friend by calling you out on the shit and saying I'm not doing it to bully you. I'm doing it because I want you to know what we think that you're doing so you can be better as a person and you can improve. So just again, a quick one. If you're complaining, if you're that easily offended, then unfortunately there's no hope for you. You need to improve a little bit.
Yeah, I know a couple of them, and yeah, they'll know who they are when they're watching. So, getting your hand in your pocket, you tight bastard. The other thing to have as well, clear targets and goals. For the people that you're the leader for. If they don't have any goals or targets and they have no idea where they're going, you're a bad leader, really, because they're just what they expected to do. They're just, I thought I was meant to be working on that project, but I didn't realise you wanted me to work on that one, so I've been working on the wrong thing. Oh, my bad. But so you got to have clear instructions, and it's really important to then make sure that you work with that person to make sure they're going through those steps to jump through the right hoops.
Definitely a good one. And the way you can emphasize this even more is make sure you're judging yourself weekly on these things. So not only are you having performance reviews with your team, not only are you spending every day with them and talking to them about, are they meeting their goals? What do they need? How can I help you meet your goals faster? that is again a great sign of a good leader. But then judge them, have them judge themselves on it. And something that we've got with our team is we do almost like an anonymous scoring. So their manager or whoever's in direct chain of command with them, they will do a score against the criteria that they've asked to be judged on, whether it's sales goals, whether it's certain KPIs, whatever it might be. It might get a score out of 100. And they give themselves a score out of 100, and their manager will give them a score out of 100. And then they'll, against those 5 metrics, they'll go through them and see how close they are. So it's the first little fun game for people that are in this leadership position within the workplace. They can look at their team and say, right, well, they think that they're 30 out of 100. I thought they were 60. Let's ask the questions to find out why they think they're scoring themselves so low, and maybe why I'm scoring themselves too high. And it might be that they meet in the middle somewhere. So make sure that you're scoring and measuring these metrics and helping them grow within it, because without measuring things, it just becomes so easily forgotten. And it's your job as a leader to hold yourself to the same account that you're holding your team to. There's nothing worse than, like you said at the start, a leader that's not willing to go in the trenches, that's not willing to do the work that they're expecting other people to do. And I work all hours of the day. You know, it's non-stop. I'll get up in the morning, first thing I'm learning, reading, watching, studying, spend a whole day at work, go to the gym, and then work into the evening until sometimes 1 a.m. Get up, rinse, repeat. And that's the standard that I set myself, so that no one can say to me, when I ask them to do something, they would look at me and go, well, you're a lazy bastard and I'm just doing all of your work for you. And no, it's not true.
Yeah, but it's going back, and football coaches tend to be a great example, that if you've got a football coach going from that was right team, you need to be in by 7 a.m. and we need to get these drills done, but then he himself doesn't turn up until like 9. He goes, oh, did you all do the drills then? And they're going to be like, no, we've sorted them out. And goes, all right, great, yeah. And then goes in, has a coffee and doesn't really get going. That sort of leader's not going to be inspiring anyone to do anything. Whereas when you watch, say that series Welcome to Wrexham, they've just had back-to-back promotions, which is never been done in the history of football, where it's just an unbelievable achievement. And it's Phil Parkinson, and he's been the leader of that whole team. And you can see that when you watch that series, that he's in the first one there, last one out. He's thinking up drills when he's at home. He's writing, different formations, different set pieces, different this, different that, different the other. And he's coming in, I've got some ideas here. But then you also see that he's still the type of person that goes, has anyone else got any ideas? And then someone from the team might be like, oh yeah, I have an idea for a set piece. And he'll go, come on, let's bring it to the front. Let's have a listen. Here's this. Come on, tell us how you think, what we should do. And then when he's showed everyone, he doesn't go, that was a piece of shit. He'll say, you know what? Brilliant. That was so good. That was really well done. Let's everyone have a clap. And then he's going to feel amazing. And then he's going to then feel like he wants to go home and probably think of more ideas for set pieces. And I think that's where great leaders create other great leaders, where that person that he did that with probably at some point will become, a team captain, and then he himself might then go into coaching, and then it's the whole cycle's just repeated constantly, where you've got good leader creates another good leader or a good coach, and then it follows through where you get then a coach for a leader, and then it's a constant upward spiral. Love using upward spirals, but that's how it works.
Well, it's like that whole mindset of shit rolls downhill. So if the leadership at the top is shit, that rolls down the hill and makes everybody stink. That is the reality. And you got with Wrexham as a good example, and a good thing that you should all be doing as leaders. You've got Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney that are at the top. They purchased the club for $5 million, whatever it was.
Good investment.
And now it's worth hundreds of millions because of their leadership. And that is the reality of leadership and what it can do. It's not just... Because again, the other example you can see, because then everybody will go, yeah, but anybody can do it by just spending a bit of money. Oh, really? Because look at Birmingham City. They brought everybody in. Go on, you seem like...
No. I mean, there's Birmingham City. I thought you were going to say like a bad flip side example would be Man United.
Well, they are a good example, so just to hit on the point, is that everyone's saying, oh, yeah, but if you just throw a load of money at something, you get gold. Well, you won't, because the reality is you can polish a turd, but it's still a turd. And that's what still happens with Birmingham City. They got relegated. They started flashing the cash. Thomas Brady came in as if they were going to do a Wrexham with Birmingham City. They got relegated. Yes, they've just had a good season to come back, and that might be because now the leadership has been established. But again, football teams, they have to have leadership starting from the top that trickles down all the way. And if you haven't got that, you're destined to fail. So if you're a leader, one of the best things that you can do is find a second in command, a 2 second in commands, as many as possible, but at least one or two, where you can bring them in, have them work directly underneath you, shadow you, and almost create a clone of yourself. And once you've got them who share your mindset, share your values, share your attitude towards not only the team, but the success and the goals that you all want to share, they can then almost become that clone where they're helping the team around them. And you've now got two of you. So you've got two leaders now that are helping, and then they go out and create leaders and set the precedent and set the mindset. Once that's then embedded into the team, that then gets trickled down. And it's only once that process stops, when you've got a bad leader or somebody above, is that it affects the whole chain further down. And like I said, shit rolls downhill. So you need to almost you need to go back up past it all and find where that smell's coming from and eradicate it. Because if it's you need to make some immediate changes. And like I said, do what we've told you in this episode and really hone in on it. But I think for me, I really wanted to end on just giving some examples of good leaders that you can use for inspiration to start improving on your own leadership journey. And again, you're all leaders. Everybody that's watching this video, you are a leader of friends, family, colleagues, anybody in life, even complete strangers. Everybody has the ability to be a good leader. So some of the best leaders that I think people should definitely go and look at: Winston Churchill, Sir Alex Ferguson, Pep Guardiola, Marcus Aurelius, Martin Luther King, are 5 of my top leaders of all time that I think are just absolutely incredible, that have taken teams from, especially Sir Alex, and everybody's got their feelings on Pep, but his achievements are,
unquestionable.
They're unquestionable. But taking an average team or an average society, nation, or a team that's on the back foot, a country that's on the back foot, and completely create something special, those 5 for me are real game changers.
See, so for me, I'm going to go real close to home at the minute. And as part of our team, we've got 2 individuals. I won't completely name and shame, but we were discussing this a lot while we were abroad. And they have had 2 people come and work under them. And those people didn't necessarily have a massive amount of knowledge within the areas that they were employed on, but they've both shone through because of the leadership of the 2 managers we have working for us. And it's just been absolutely unbelievable to watch those 2 newer individuals completely replicate the ethos and the company values that the 2 managers have, that we've then taught to the managers, from the top, and it's trickled down. So we've seen it ourselves live in our own business, and what actually happens when you've got people that care that much. And it tickles me heart, if that's the right way of saying it, that, when I speak to the people that are newly employed and I'm going, oh, how are you finding things? He goes, oh, I love working here. I love this. And they'll say the vision of the company, or they'll say, oh, we were looking forward to moving into the new offices and did. And it's only because of the leadership they've had from, the people above them that is really inspiring. And you think, it's amazing to hear and to see that it works in practice. It's not just, and you can see it with football teams and things as well anyway, but to see it really on the ground in our own business, I think it's massive.
Definitely. And if you're after another small dose of inspiration to help you on your leadership journey, 3 things or 3 films that I would definitely say that you should watch. Moneyball, Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, great films about Billy Beane Absolutely incredible film. Coach Carter, Sam L. Jackson, plays Ken Carter. Absolutely incredible story, true story about a basketball team and basically his desire to not only have them achieve in just basketball, but also outside of the game as well. And Remember the Titans, Denzel Washington, hero, best actor of all time, plays Herman Boone, and it's a American football team. And again, all three of those people, Billy Beane, Coach Carter and Herman Boone, incredible leaders. Watch the film, study how they've transformed teams from complete average failures to some of the best teams in the world, and they've done it through leadership. So yeah, give those three films a watch.
I've seen the one, Moneyball, and that was really good. So I'll need to watch the others because I haven't seen them.
Right then, thanks very much for watching. This is a really, really important topic for so many people because everybody gets the wrong idea. They don't believe that they're leaders just because they don't run a team, own a business, or manage. They just believe that they're part of that team and have no influence on those around them. But you can lead a leader just because you have somebody that's got a fancy title above you in the workplace. That doesn't mean that you aren't capable of setting the example and ending up leading them. So take everything that we've talked about in this episode, apply it to your family, apply it to your friends, apply it into your work life, and hopefully you'll start seeing some massive results because it is not a one-man army. There's no I in team. And if you are a good leader, trust me, the results that you can get in your life by not only improving your life, but most importantly, improving the lives of people around you by inspiring and influencing them, you will see the biggest return on your time, guaranteed. Look at any example that we've talked about in this video today, and you will see that leadership is at the heart of everybody's success, and being a good leader makes you a better person and makes those around you better as well. So please reach out to us if you want any help in becoming a leader, or if you want any form of coaching from us. We're here to help you by giving back and helping you become the best leader that you can be. Remember though, as always, please like and subscribe, share the video to as many people as possible that you think need to help improving their own leadership, because we'd love this video to help as many people out as possible. But thanks very much for watching, appreciate your time, and we'll catch you in the next episode.